Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We're going to do a whole series on this one. Have you seen this before? To all you young whippersnappers, this came out in 1978 based on the hottest band in the world at the time, Kiss. Knights in, well, we're not supposed to say that. People back then they thought that they were satanic, but they're not satanic. People thought that. But this was like, Kiss was like the the band that your parents didn't want you listening to, so of course all the kids had to listen to them. So we had got this game in. This is a legendary title here, and it's seen better days. It's a little faded, a little worn, and I don't believe it works. So a gentleman brought this to us, and he wants us to get her working again. Now, at one time, this thing was like the coolest thing ever. Joey, what did the guy say when he dropped it off? I wasn't here.
He just said he's had it a long time, and he wants to get it fixed.
Uh-huh. Was this like, did it used to work for him?
Yeah, he acted like he's had it 20 years or more.
Uh-huh. And apparently he got it in Jonesville, North Carolina. People, don't call them. I shouldn't have showed that, should I? Don't call them. They've probably been out of business a long time. I see a little mouse nest in here. Mm-hmm. Been a little bit of that going on. And it has heavy wear on the playfield, I would call it. Now, Joe spoke with the gentleman about this. What did he tell you about the wear on the playfield, Joe?
I tried to get him to get the decal. You know, they make a decal that fixes this.
There's about 3 ways you can fix this. You could try to repaint it, which would be very hard to do. You could put a hard top on the whole playfield to replace it. You could put, well, they probably don't make a hard top because it had to be licensed. But I think they do make a decal that does the whole playfield. And then they make a small decal that covers just this area, because this is always what gets all the wear. So we've done that in the past, and it looks pretty good, actually. He
was concerned, though, it would hurt the resale value.
He said that he wants it to be original, so he doesn't want us to do that. So even though it's really worn, he wants us to leave it how it is. So we're going to clean it up, wax the hell out of it, so hopefully it doesn't get any worse around the edges of it, and get it where it plays good and looks as good as possible with that wear on it. To be honest, a lot of these Kisses do have a lot of wear like that on it. So, I mean, it could be a situation where, that's how you're used to seeing them. We've got a Flight 2000 over here, a Stern Flight 2000, that has almost, well, hell, this might even be a little worse, actually. Has really bad wear. So it's just...
Maybe he was the one that put this wear on there.
It could be. It could be that he remembers helping to wear that playfield down like that. Now, this really won't affect gameplay at all, though. If you wax that up, man, and where the ball rolls over it, I mean, it'll play the same as one that had nice artwork on it. So that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to say that right up front, so that you know that's where we're going to end up. So you're going to see a, what do they call those cars whenever they're all kind of rustic looking? What do they call that?
A rat rod?
Yeah, rat rod, but didn't they call it, wasn't there a name for it whenever you leave it with all of the...
Patina.
The patina, yeah. They would like paint...
Resto, I don't know.
Yeah, a
Resto mod, but that's...
Resto mod or something like that, I don't remember. But, yeah, so it's going to be one of those.
Basically, he wants a new cord.
New cord. The cord looks crappy.
And he wants it to play.
He didn't say he wanted anything else specific.
No.
Okay. So we're not going to repaint it. Which, to be honest, the cosmetic stuff's the most expensive.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest to do. And we're not great at it. Joe, have you ever repainted the side of a Kiss pinball?
Yes, I have. Okay,
and then you used a... You didn't use water-based paint like I always say that we should use, right?
No, I didn't.
He used a pen to do some of the lines.
Mm-hmm. Boy, it looked good.
Looked perfect.
Yeah.
But then we clear-coated it. Now, what happened when you clear-coated over that paint that you used that was the wrong kind?
It all ran, and all his makeup.
All of their makeup looked like somebody crying in the rain.
Yep.
It was a bad mascara job.
Yep.
So how did you fix that?
I had to start all over.
He had to clean all of the clear off, sand it down, and then paint all over again. So if you're going to paint one, acrylic-based paint. It's the only way to fly. But we're not going to paint this one. We're going to leave it with this worn look. And, you know, it can always be repainted later if somebody decides they want to make it look brand new. But I can understand some people want it to look, you know, like a survivor. So we won't be painting the sides. Now, what about the back glass, Joe? Did he mention anything about that?
No.
It's in pretty good shape. A little bit of damage down here at the bottom, but that's the best place for it to be damaged, really. We may have to triple thick part of it just to make sure that it doesn't get any worse. But really, from an inch up, I don't see anything wrong with it. So it's in pretty nice shape. And that's kind of common on back glasses, that I guess somehow the, well, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. It may be that the little animals, when they get in there, they lift their leg and it hits the bottom part. What do you think?
Maybe.
Maybe. So this is what we're starting with.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, folks, we pulled the back glass off so we can get in there. And someone at some point has taped the back glass. That's how people kind of used to do it. So it was kind of the way to go at one point. The only problem with it is this is actually still stuck to the glass. So if it lifts up a little bit and you spray it with triple thick, which is what we usually do, it kind of makes it a glue where it glues it back down to the glass. So the triple thick, since it's liquid, it gets under the paint and basically reattaches it to the glass. So it kind of fixes the problem, right? If you put tape on it, what you do is you keep the flakes from coming off. So they're not going to fall off now because they're stuck to the tape, but it still could peel off the glass, right? So yeah, it's kind of, it's a good way to do it back in the day. I don't know when they figured out to use triple thick on it. I certainly didn't figure that out. But this is kind of how people did it before. And they did it before it got real bad, so it's kind of kept it all in one place. Now, will it get worse and the rest of it all peel off? I have seen that happen, but it's usually whenever you have extreme temperature things. So you leave it in your car or something when it gets 120 degrees, or you store it in a barn in Minnesota or something. Nothing wrong with Minnesota, by the way. But that's the deal. Okay, so I'm gonna go put this in the back where it's safe and we can't break it, because this back glass, even with the bottom of it messed up a little bit, it's probably worth $300, maybe a little more. So I'm gonna go hide it. So I threw it in the back. By the way, I wasn't saying that somebody might steal it. I was saying I didn't want to break it. If I break it, then I'd have to buy another one. That'd be bad. Okay, so the cord, we figured out it's messed up, and then it comes into the cabinet, and we always just follow the power. The first thing you see is the displays. It's kind of hard to tell by looking at them, but sometimes you can tell if they're really burnt up. These don't appear to be really burnt up. We've got one here with an X on it, but notice it's in the ball and credit display position, which doesn't use that digit. It uses those two and those two. So if you have one that one or that one doesn't work, if you put it in here, it doesn't even matter. Hear that creaking as it opened? When do you think the last time they were into the tomb was, Joey?
1994.
This is like how Howard Carter must have felt. He opened the guy opened the hole and he looked through, and Lord Carnarvon, whatever his name was, said, "What do you see?" And what did he say, Joe?
No idea.
You never paid any attention to any of the King Tut stuff?
No.
He said, "Things, wonderful things." Okay. So, the power comes in here, and it first runs up to this little power supply. So we'll see how the connector is held up. Looks pretty good, Joe. Think we're doing pretty good here. We're not plugged into the wall, by the way. We're just eyeballing stuff first. Okay, so these commonly get burnt up. See how the connector's burnt a little bit? Doesn't look like it's bad enough to replace the housing, but the pins will repin it. So that all looks pretty good. Now the KISS power supplies had these two big heat sinks up at the top. They did it just slightly different than most of them before then. because it had more lights to run. Somebody was telling, I didn't know why they'd done it like that, but somebody was mentioning on our channel a while back that the ones with the auxiliary light board, which is this, have those heat sinks. And so the purpose of the auxiliary light board was because at the top, it spells out KISS, and it lights up and twinkles and does all that stuff. Just like one of their shows, because they were the hottest band in the world at 1978. By the way, at the end of this video series, we're going to have our buddy, In My Head, come by and play the pinball machine. He's going to make a special appearance. If you don't know him, his channel here on YouTube, it's called In My Head, which I believe is a KISS song. Am I right about that, Joe? Joey doesn't know. Joey's younger than I am. He don't know. He can explain it all whenever he's here, but he is a KISS fanatic. He knows everything about KISS. He has a channel basically devoted to KISS here on YouTube. He knows all about it, right? So we're going to have him come by and play this thing if we fix it. If we fix it. Ha 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 ha. When we fix it. All right, so then the power runs up to this solenoid driver board. Looks very clean. I see no major hackage, Joe. We're looking good on the hackage department. Looks great. Okay, and then it runs over here to this MPU board, which runs everything. And there is a battery at the bottom of the MPU board, so this is always what you want to look at. And I see just minor corrosion, but nothing bad at all. You can see just a little hint of it starting to come up, which means we caught it in time. Now that battery has a date code, it looks like on it, of the 4th week of 1986. So someone at some point replaced the battery already. It would have had a date code from 77 or 78 originally. But that battery you just looked at is 35 years old. It's probably fine, right, Joe?
Yep.
35-year-old battery. It's probably all right.
Good for another 35.
Yeah, that's probably right. We'll measure the voltage on it, see if it's still holding on. Got a little hackage going on here. Look at that. One little pin hackage, that's nothing. But yeah, MPU's in nice shape. And the lamp board, they're always pretty much in nice shape. Sometimes this thing will leak so much alkaline that it'll drop down and screw up all this. But it doesn't look like that's happened. So, electronically, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Does it work? Did he say it works?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, but it doesn't work, so there's something going on. So we'll work through it like we usually do. Let me pop the playfield up, and we'll look under the playfield and see what's going on there. I don't like turning them on without looking through them first, just to make sure there's not like a big snake in there or something that would make fuses blow, or something shorted. Sometimes when you move them, something might fall and touch something, and it's wedged in there, and then you turn it on and it pops the fuse or something. I don't like that. So we'll look under the playfield just to make sure everything looks cool. And then by the end of this video, we'll plug it up just to see what the deal is. Okay, folks, so here's inside of it. It's got a little bit of rust on the lock bar, but that's real common because that's where all of the beer falls. They even call that a beer seal on the back of the lockdown bar. But I was going to point out, it doesn't really have all that much. A lot of times they're completely rusted away, or where they're just all rusted. So it ain't really that bad. The inside, just a little dusty. Nothing really in there. These are sliders that the guy used to get them on and off of his truck. They work perfect, by the way. How did he do it, Joe?
He put them underneath the legs and just pushed them up in his trailer. He had a landscaping trailer.
Uh-huh.
And it just slid right up the ramp into the trailer.
Right up the ramp into the trailer. No problems. Okay, so I was going to show you this. So this coil, see how it's all black looking? By the way, we're still not plugged in. This is the knocker. You see how it won't move? So that is locked up. We got knocked up. Boy, I messed that up. We got a locked up knocker. Now, if you were going to have one coil screw up, that'd be a good one to screw up. Because it don't do anything but make a loud noise when you win a free game. Which is cool. Switches all look good. Bulbs all look good. Joe's going to put a new end on our cord so we can plug it up. Everything's looking good. I don't see anything that's really of a concern. got the famous 4 pop bumpers on Kiss. Somebody's replaced that. I'll show you this. When you swap these big coils like this, so there's a large coil here because it resets the drop targets. Right? When you swap those, it's kind of tricky sometimes because you have to solder to the lug. So if you get it too hot, it starts doing this. The lug is actually connected to plastic or nylon. So if you get it real hot, it'll start melting and moving around. And that's just a thing whenever it's installed. Drop target back end looks good. Got a wire separated here that goes to this light here. If you look up in there, that's just soot. Incandescent bulbs. Would be on the day I got a white shirt on. This big plate here is how they did that grid in the middle that has so many lights that light up. This plate you can remove with these little wing nuts and take that whole thing down. You can't unplug it though, it's hardwired in. But you can take it, I guess, up where you can change all the bulbs and all of that. Over time, sometimes you get where the press fit to the board isn't that great. Like, see how I can spin that? So we might have a problem there, but if you do, you can fix that by soldering the socket to the plate instead of just that press fit. So we might have to mess with that a little bit. I just got some regular stand-up targets over here. Everything looks cool. 2 slingshots look cool. They're usually pretty good. And then this is a gate that opens up above. And so when this pulls in, this little thing here. By the way, when you're testing these, like upside down like this, they never work right because it's just the way it is on the playfield. But in gameplay, usually they work a little better. See how it's a little burnt up, the wrapper? That's not because it's bad. I mean, it may be bad, but it's probably not. Usually it's just because that's a hold coil. So if the diverter comes on, or the gate, that opens up, or that coil pulls this in to keep the gate open on the playfield. Right. So since it holds on for a long time, it gets a little hot and burns that's just a paper wrapping around it. Makes it kind of brown. Flippers were just Bally's standard flippers. That one actually looks pretty good. I bet that one works fine. And that one. So everything looks pretty cool. So main problems I see, there's probably some board stuff going on, or power supply stuff going on. The plug on the end of the power cord is obviously a problem, and then there's just wear on everything. So he did want us to clean the playfield though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we need to basically shop it, get the playfield working right, and then we need to work through the electrical system a little bit and just see how we can get that going. So let me lay the playfield back down, and then we'll actually plug it in and see if anything on it still works after all these years. 1978, so 43 years. But we know they've serviced it since then, but we'll just act like they haven't. So first time in 43 years it's been worked on, Joey. So let me put this back down and then we'll plug it up. Okay, so we were trying to make sure it's turned off. And the power switch has tape over it. But I think the reason is because it feels like the post of the power switch is broke off, so you can't turn it on and off. So hopefully they've got it turned on. The wires are still hooked up to it, so we'll replace that power switch whenever we get into it a little bit. Okay, so if it is going to work, we will see flashes over there on the MPU, the little LED at the bottom, and you want a quick flash and then 7 flashes. So, all right, Joe, plug her up. Let's see what happens. All right. power is on, but no booty, Joe. Go get the multimeter, will you? So might have a blown fuse, but you know, if there's blown fuses, there's reasons for it. And then the power comes in on this connector. So sometimes if you wiggle that connector, here's our LED. Sometimes you have the situation too where the LED is burnt out, but not usually. Joe's about to tell us exactly what the problem is. He's going to tell us exact to the T. All right, Joe. On this MPU, put it on DC.
Yep.
This is our ground up here. See it?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to check that.
Yep.
And then you want to check this voltage right here, this test point 5.
All right.
DC. Let me swap you sides. Be careful not to ground out on other stuff. Okay, so he's checking the voltage on the board is nada. That should be 5. Okay, move the your red one over to, see where it says test point 2 and 3 over there on the left? Now be careful, don't touch nothing but the test point. You can short those together and cause some issues. Nada. Try the other one. 21 volts, so that's the zero crossing detector. That has to do with like the solenoid voltage. Okay, so take the test lead off of that. Now down here on this power supply, see that big resistor there on closest to us? Put the ground on the bottom of that resistor, the bottom leg of that resistor. There you go. Yep, just like it. Now very carefully, see the test points underneath those two heat sinks? See them there? Yep. Test point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're still on DC. Try test point 1. Does that say 1? 7.82. I believe that is the lights for the controlled lights for the playfield. All right, try test point 2, Joe, if you can see it.
Okay.
248 volts. That's the unregulated voltage for the displays. It gets regulated by the solenoid board. All right, Joe, that's good. Try test point 3. 11 volts. So that's the 12 volts that gets turned into 5 volts to make the MPU work. Okay, now the fourth one you're not going to be able to test because it's AC, but test the fifth one. Test point 5. 43 volts. That's the solenoid voltage. Okay, now let's set this to AC. We don't really need to test this, but what we will do the same thing, but check test point 4. 7 volts. The reason we didn't really need to test that one is because that's the one that makes the general illumination turn on, and they're all on, so it must work. Okay, now we still have a problem though, because that LED on the MPU, it should, if there's no 5 volts, it should just come on and stay on because it's lit by 12 volts, and you had the 12 volts there. So next thing to do, let's move up to here. So we need to work on this board. I think we just proved though we had all the voltages, but we need to work on the connectors. See that ground connection right there on the solenoid board? What's that top one say?
That's 5, test point 5.
I don't know which one's which off the top of my head. What's the, was that the top one?
Yep, and then the bottom one is test point 1.
Okay. All right, yeah. So our problem is the 12 volts that is on the power supply is not getting up to that board, which would then turn it to 5 volts. And then also, I guess, send it over to the MPU. So the MPU isn't getting the 12 volts, and neither is this board because it's not. All right, Joe, so where do you think the problem is?
Must be from one of these connectors going up to it.
Exactly. So that's our first thing that we'll do. But guess what, folks?
Could be bad solder, I guess, on the back.
Yep, could be bad solder on it too. So that's our first thing that we're going to do. We're going to have to attack the power supply. So in other words, the first place it goes, we'll have to mess with. That's how it always goes.
But we'll start at the wall.
You start at the wall, people. So we'll do that on the next video. So stay tuned. Isn't this thing going to be awesome? Good old KISS pinball machine. I was just saying the other day, all of the early Bally games are really cool. Really cool. They had a string there Great game after great game after great game after great game. Somebody was arguing that the Williams ones were the best. Now, I'm not going to argue that, but I'm just saying, before you write off Bally, think about Bally's solid state pinball machines. So this is a EM, this Knight Rider everybody keeps asking about. But Knight Rider, that was one of the very first solid states. That's a really fun game. You like Knight Rider, Joe?
It's a great game.
Great game. Okay. The Mighty 8 Ball. What do you think about that one, Joe?
Boy, I really like that one.
That's a great game. As a matter of fact, Joe, did you know that was the best-selling game of all time?
Yeah.
Up until the Addams
I've
Family.
heard that a few times.
Everybody comes in and talks about it. Or I talk about it to them, one way or the other. That's a damn good game, people. So again, we're comparing Williams to Bally. I'm not trying to say Williams wasn't great and that they weren't the best. But if you think about it, okay, then Evil Knievel, Joe. Remember that one?
Boy, that's a good one.
Pretty awesome. Remember that Freedom we had in here the other day? A couple weeks ago? A couple months ago? Mm-hmm. Great game, okay? $6 Million Man. Awesome game. This Kiss game. Awesome game. Matahari. Matahari is awesome. That's one of the best damn ones. Lost World. That's a fun game. None of these are bad games. Supersonic, I always really liked. Fun game. What were the other ones?
They did a Playboy.
Yeah, they did a Playboy game. We've never worked on that one because we don't want to put it here in our showroom. Might have to, there's a church across the street. They might try to sue us or something. What were the other ones?
We're missing some big ones.
I'm forgetting some big ones. Oh yeah, Dolly Parton. The Dolly Parton one that plays Here You Come Again when you start the game. Nitro Ground Shaker. Awesome game. So, I mean, I don't know. The Williams games were great, but let's not forget about the Bally's, people. All right, so leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Next time, we'll start working on the power supply. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. Make sure to check out our brother channel, my brother Donnie, who is literally my brother and Joe's brother. If you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, you'd probably like watching Donnie and me work on old buildings. We got a couple buildings we're trying to save in this old downtown area near here. And then last but not least, check out our website, lionsarcade.com. There's some links on there to some of the parts that we recommend whenever we're working on stuff. And then also, we sell t-shirts and stuff like that on there if you want to support the channel. So let us know your comments about this game. And let us know your comments about Bally versus Williams, Gottlieb versus Stern, down below. Everybody be nice, though, all right? No crap in the comments, people. But we'll see you on the next video. Hopefully we can get this kiss up and going.